Well, first of all, I was proud last night to sign this law. This law effectively bans sanctuary cities in the state of Texas. What it means is that no county, no city, no governmental body in the state of Texas can adopt any policy that provides sanctuary. Second, what it means is that law enforcement officials such as sheriffs are going to be required to comply with ICE detainer requests. What this law is going to do is to engender greater cooperation between local law enforcement and federal officials so that we ensure that everybody is going to be simply following the law. Now think about this, Brian. Isn't this quasi-insane that we have to pass a law to force law enforcement officers to comply with the law?
Texas lighting a fire under the border security fight again. The governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, defending border security by signing a law yesterday prohibiting the state and its municipalities from enacting sanctuary laws. Mexico now out criticizing the new law. It says it will increase discrimination and stop immigrants from helping cops, among other things. Milwaukee County, Wisconsin Sheriff David Clark, which was here. Sheriff Clark is with me now. Good to see you, Sheriff. Now, Governor Abbott says he wants to stop the lawlessness. He says the law will make it illegal to defy federal immigration officials. Will this help the crackdown on the problem?
God bless Texas. Good for Governor Abbott. You know, I read this bill this afternoon. It's got teeth in it. That's what I like. Starting September 1st, it compels law enforcement agencies and other public officials to assist and cooperate and share information that they have with immigration and customs enforcement. Look, Liz, you know as well as I do that successful law enforcement in the United States is predicated upon local, state, and federal officers working together, sharing information in the pursuit of justice. I don't really care what Mexico thinks about this. I care about the rule of law here in the United States. Like I said, this thing has teeth. It calls for fines. It calls for jail time of law enforcement officials that don't comply, and even up to removal from office of elected officials who continue to thumb their nose at the rule of law. There are 32 states in the United States that have a GOP governor, and the GOP controls the two bodies of the legislature. I would implore them to follow suit here to assist the federal government. This makes it easier for the federal government because they don't have the authority to force states and local officials to cooperate, but the states should take it upon themselves to do that. And so the blueprint is there. I read the bill. Any state wanting to do this, including my own state of Wisconsin, has been talked about, but nothing's been introduced. Here's the blueprint that will help local law enforcement get their arms around this thing and work with the federal government to end this especially the criminal illegal aliens. When we talk about law enforcement, we're not talking about people who are in the country illegally and they're just going about their business. I don't advocate for that, but that's not what Donald Trump has said initially, and Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General. That's not who they're going after right now. Initially, they're going after the criminal illegal aliens that continue to prey upon law-abiding citizens. The other thing I find interesting, Liz, is that Texas has a significant Hispanic and Latino population, and obviously the governor and the legislator who have legislators who have to count on Hispanic and Latino votes don't think that there'll be a political cost to this, because there's a myth that anybody of Hispanic descent that's in the country legally, that's a legal citizen, that they favor illegal immigration. They do not.
You know, Sheriff, you make an interesting point there. What other states do you think will follow Texas?
Well, it's hard to say, but I think states along the border. You know, Texas, that's why they got skin in the game here with the problems they're having along the border. I would imagine that it would start there first, and forget about California, that's a lost cause, but some of those other states along the border, and then other states that have a problem, an ongoing problem with the criminal gangs, with the drug cartels, with the drugs and the weapons flowing into the country across the border. They have a stake in this too. So, you know, what I think Texas has done, and Governor Abbott, and again, my hat off to him, but what they've done will allow some of these other states that know they need to do this, it'll help stiffen their spine and their resolve to go and help the federal government get their arms around this horrible, what has become a crisis here in the United States with criminal illegal aliens.
You know, the pushback on it, Sheriff, is that police officers now in Texas will be authorized to ask anyone they've detained for their immigration status. And we know that critics have said this could lead to racial profiling. What are your thoughts there?
No, it wasn't. First of all, that's not even measurable. That's just a talking point from the left. I've heard that before. I've heard that it'll lead to people illegally in the country not reporting crimes. That's not true. We had one here in Wisconsin, and we've heard other cases across the United States where people illegally in the country have approached law enforcement over some very serious crimes that were committed against them. Until they could produce data to me and research, empirical, by the way, to show that it has led to a decrease in reporting a crime, I'm just not buying it.